Perfect. And then on a slightly different note, you had the chance to play in Guy Ritchie's world. And I was curious, how did your training change when you go from, crowbars, things like that, to archery, knives, and fire axes?
Oh, that's a fun question. Thank you. Yeah. So, I don't, I've been very fortunate. I like that I've been consistently working and I don't have days off. A lot of actors, I think, dream of that kind of thing, as I did. The problem with that is that, when do you train for the next role? Like, when do you become that next character? For me, I was doing it like between takes on Reacher, because I went from, I finished on a Saturday morning at 7 a.m. That season of Reacher, and I was filming in Turkey at 6 a.m. on Monday morning. And when I showed up, and Guy wasn't like, I need you to come in prepared to be an archer. In fact, the first conversation I had with Guy about the movie was just like, we talked about how much we love barbecue. And he's like, yeah, I'd love to have you over from my place, mate. You'd be like great fun at the barbecue. I'm like, cool. What character do you want me to play in your movie? I like the script. I don't know who I'm talking about here. It was like, we were just like two guys like having fun. And he was like, I want you to be in my movie. And I found out, like a month before, he wanted me to play Anders Lassen, which was like a real dream come true. Anders is an archer. So like me and my stunt guy, Ryan Taryn, we would go every chance we had. We would go train at an archery facility, to the point where I was like ducking, diving, sliding, like hitting targets 100 yards away, like on the move. It was pretty. Day one, I didn't know what we were shooting. I landed and I'm like, what are you doing today? He's like, well, I'm just sort of thinking it up, like it's supposed to be a night shoot. I don't want to shoot nights, so we're going to maybe you come in and he squirt, you thwick, I don't know, And he goes, set the cameras up, start rolling. And I go, what? Okay, so what do I do? He goes, I don't know, shoot that guard there. He squirt there, I was like, okay, so I just I'm shooting bow and arrow like 5 minutes into working with him. Thank God I was like working on my own time, but we were just fitting it in between shots on Reacher and it worked. And that's kind of how I've had to do it for all these roles. We just try to become these people between takes.
Going to go over to the left to Zach.
Hey, Alan. Kind of going off that, switching characters, what was more fun, playing Reacher or Thad Castle?
I mean, anytime you get to do an Oreo cookie race, I mean, who doesn't love Oreos, warm or not? I think that is, that is probably the most fun I've ever had. That was kind of my college experience. I didn't really I was a college dropout. I wanted to sort of live my own experience in that way. And so for a lot of people, I've heard that is a lot like, many people's college experience. So we had a good time on that show. We're actually setting it up with Amazon, schedule. But honestly, and again, I'm going to tell you the truth. I think it's going to be the best season of BMS we've ever had. It is so damn funny, and it's the perfect, the way that we resurrect the characters and then sort of bring them into the way that things are now. I mean, everything's changed. I mean, you can get paid to play now. I mean, there's the portal. There's so many things that we can play with now that will surprise a character like. Thad. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Reacher's fun in its own right, but Reacher's hard, man. I mean, there are grown men who have cried on our set. Like, I can't do this, man. I don't know how you do this. I'm like, get yourself together, dude. We got to finish this fight. It's hard. So it's not like fun in the same way, but it's rewarding. So very, very different experiences.
I'm going to check up in the press box to see if there are any questions up there.
Questions from the press box?
Thank you. Any more questions downstairs for Alan? We'll go to Bruce and then we'll go to Lee.
Bruce Martin with Forbes Sports Money. What is the sensation like when you hit the high banks for the first time? Because that is a pretty disoriented feeling for people who aren't used to it.
Yeah, taking the laps this morning. Yeah. Yeah, it's grippy. I mean, I like going fast. I mean, I've I got Porsche building me a Taycan GT Turbo right now. I mean, I can't wait to be in that thing. I was like one of the first to be on the Tesla Model S, P100D. Like, I love ripping around in those things, and I do a lot with Ducati, and I love my track days on the bikes. I've never quite been in that position where you feel like you're about to flip over. I felt like we were going to roll when I was going the pace car rate. Going 130, you're glued to the ground a little bit. But I think what I didn't like was being on the passenger side, being this close to the wall. That was, he's like, I've never driven an electric car like this before. And then he's hugging the rail like that, and it feels like, are you sure you want to try going as fast as you can on the first time out? So it's a little creepy being that close to the wall. But when you're going fast, you don't feel the incline quite as much. Yeah, I got a thick neck. Yeah. I was feeling it in my fingertips as I was gripping the cup holder.
We'll go to Lee up front here.
Lee Spencer, SiriusXM NASCAR Radio and CatchFence.com. I'm curious, did American Idol prepare you for the Hunger Games, because it's a, last man standing kind of deal?
Right, funny, my early resume. Yeah, American Idol Season 3 was my first time out to LA, and sort of inspired me to want to move out there and just see what it was about, because I'd never really seen artists that were so hungry they would fall on the floor and cry if they weren't getting their way, and I kind of was like, I want to know what that's like, to like be so passionate for your art, because for me it was a pretty fun experience, but it was like, well, that was fun to do. Hunger Games was great, but that was I had sort of had like a big turning point in my life during the Hunger Games era, because we had I'd come off Blue Mountain State and sort of felt like, guys, I was on Blue Mountain State. Like, I should be handed every role in town. And it did, obviously it was a wake-up call. Like, that was not the way that it was meant to be. And I think at that time, I think I had a really rough Thor audition and got some really bad feedback from the casting director. And I decided then and there that I was like, actually, I'm going to make this my craft, and I'm going to figure it out. But American Idol for me was just exploratory and sort of, I don't know what my life is going to be about. And by Hunger Games, I had decided, so that was sort of a new beginning for me. But that's, thanks for that.
Any additional questions for Alan? We'll finish up here.
After today's experience, do you have any racing roles in your future?
Oh, well, my next movie is called Runner, and I think we're in a car with Owen Wilson for the first 48 pages. It's essentially speed, So, my next movie is a car movie. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Well, Alan, thank you for joining us today. We can't wait to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.